I will be with all you fine folks in just a couple more seconds. All right, here we are. Here we are. Sorry for the delay, folks. Zell, thank you so much for the resub. That's very kind of you, very generous. I really do appreciate 5 months. Holy cow! But no, thank you so much for your support, man. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're having a good day. Man, I've been meaning to catch more of your streams too, but work for me lately, everything starts picking up in the afternoon all of a sudden. Like, it used to be like the start of your streams would be like when I was really busy, but now all of a sudden it's like, the whole afternoon tends to be busy. But I'm gonna be around tomorrow, hopefully, if you're streaming tomorrow. But thank you so much for the resub, man. Day is okay. About to head back for my 15. Nice. Well, I hope the second half of your day ends up being good. Before you go though, just shout out to Zellshot, y'all. If y'all want some fantastic gaming content with a fantastic streamer, fantastic personality, and a fantastic community that he's cultivated over there, definitely go check out Zellshot. He's playing some Kingdom Hearts. He's also still, I think you're still doing Master Mode, right? Working through Master Mode. Hopefully, with any luck, it won't be boring. Yeah, I hope so. I hope it won't be boring. But yeah, and he's also very, very, supportive to his community and oh, you finished Master Mode. Fair enough. But yeah, Zell's also very supportive to his community and the people that he's close with. So yeah, definitely go give him a follow. Go give him a watch. Definitely will be worth your while. But yeah, welcome everybody. Soul Commodore back at you again. And the last couple of times we were together, I'm going to turn this music up a little bit. Oop, not turn it off, turn it up. Yeah, the last time we were together, we were actually chatting about my art because your boy here hurt his wrist. But my wrist is back to 100%, and we were actually going to do some live painting on our last stream, but we just decided to keep chatting about art. Nah, man, I ain't kind enough. Not kind enough. So today we're going to be doing some live painting. Also, just a heads up for future Mondays. Mondays are a little shorter than they used to be, because it used to be 2 hours, 6 to 8. Now it's 6 to 7:30 because my girlfriend goes to dragon boat practice on the bay, and now they're actually out on the water. She does that, and it ends at 7:30, and then I have to go and so that she can get back on land, I help her get her boat out of the water. Well, I also help bring down her boat. So the stream technically does start at 6 via the schedules, but it might be anywhere between 5:55 and 6:15 when the streams start. So, man. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, man. I hope work's not too boring for you. I hope something exciting happens. But thanks for coming in, and thank you again for the sub, man. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, so on Mondays the stream will probably start anywhere between 6 and 6:15, let's say. Just depending on how long it takes to get her boat in the water. Today, if any of you have me on Instagram, you'll see the reason why it took so long to get her boat in the water today was because there was a family of geese kind of blocking our path. And in the video that I'm going to put in my story on Instagram, you can see the geese and their goslings swim by. So, yeah. Yo, El, how's it going? How's it going? Welcome in. Honk indeed. Honk indeed. But how are you? How's your voice feeling? Do you have your voice back yet? Also, I saw on Twitter that you were excited about Eurovision. Just get my paints together. Oh, you have your voice back? Nice, nice, nice. I'm glad. And there's the red. And where is my black? There's my black. All right. Oh, it's a friend tradition. Nice, nice. So you tend to watch Eurovision with your friends? That's nice. I was watching Jess Draws Ducks last week, and she mentioned that she doesn't really watch a whole lot of shows or movies really without friends. A bunch of my old gaming friends are European, and we've been doing this for so long. We originally had to borrow the show without permission. Oh. Fair. No, that's really cool. That's really cool. It's nice to have stuff like that. Jess was saying how she really only likes watching movies or shows with friends. And I've never really had, I've had plenty of friends. Have plenty of friends, too. And I certainly don't mind watching shows and movies with them. I enjoy it. But I definitely have no problem watching them alone, either. But yeah, she just couldn't get into it. So I imagine she has some traditions, too, like watching some things with friends. I can't say that I have anything like that, really. Like, not even sporting events or anything. Okay. And some black. Because we're gonna need some. I need to watch live action with someone else, because I can't keep track of humans. That's fair. That is fair. Yes. Actually, because I was going to bring that up in part of my discussion, the reason why you can't keep track of humans, because it's going to be part of what I was going to discuss today. Not that particularly, but, that kind of perspective in it. Is it cool if I divulge that, or would you rather me not? Because if not, then I'll just leave it alone. That's fine? Cool. All right. Yeah, because I've got to... You put it on the internet. Well, that's fair. That's fair. I just like to check, just in case. You know. You wouldn't have said it online if you cared. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's dripping all over the place. Alright, so because we're a little shorter on time today, I should probably get painting. But we also need to discuss King Kendrick releasing The Heart Part 5. Now, I think his album drops on the 13th this month. So I'm very, very excited for that. But I'm very, very... I've got a lot of things to say about this video that he dropped. Yes, paint. Paint indeed. So I've got a lot of thoughts on Kendrick's video for the Heart Part 5. Partially, well, mostly pertaining to the fact that, you know, obviously everyone saw like how he used like the deep fake to fake 6 faces. Although to be honest, I think, I mean, I can't clarify, but at some points in that video, I feel like he also deep faked his own face, because you could tell like sometimes what he was saying wasn't syncing up with his mouth, which is kind of a hallmark of deep fakes, especially when you're rapping or talking as fast as Kendrick does. Really, I think he deep faked 7 faces in that video. But I really want to talk about the lyrical components of what he was saying when all of those deepfakes came up. Because, again, it's just one of those things where, like, Kendrick is such a fantastic storyteller. And such a fantastic lyricist, where, like, he doesn't leave any meat on the bone when he's telling, when he's spinning narratives with his rapping, right? He gets every single bit of it out there. Obviously, with any sort of art, there's plenty left up to interpretation. So really, this is just me interpreting what I think he meant, and is by no means what it actually means. So I'm not going to go like in depth into what I think the video is about, per se. But I do want to talk about the lyrical content when he decides to bring out these deep fakes of these other black figures. First and foremost, the first deep fake that we see at the start of the second verse is, of course, O.J. Simpson. Now, any of you who don't know O.J. Simpson, in 1994, very, very big trial, televised trial, because O.J. Simpson, former NFL running back, very famous, I believe still holds the record for the most yards rushed for in a season, I think. Don't quote me on that, though. Anyway, then he became kind of like a movie star on TV, and he was kind of trying to like ingratiate himself within Hollywood. And if you can, there is a fantastic 5-part documentary called O.J. Made in America. It's not that Netflix movie that was made about O.J. Simpson, not that. I mean, that had its merits, but... Yo, Carl Bango, thank you for the follow. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome in. I hope you're having a good day. Welcome to the community. How are you? And if you're not really a chatter, you know what, that's perfectly fine too. If you'd rather just watch, you are by no means obligated to use the chat. But welcome in. Glad to have you. So yeah, if you can track down O.J. Made in America, fantastic, because it's not just about the trial. It's about all the stuff that happened around the trial, all of the racial tensions that were in Los Angeles at the time, leading up to the trial, sort of counteracted with O.J.'s career, and then finally his downfall and the aftermath of the trial. And it's just very good. Anyway, we all know... well, we don't all know, but anybody who's familiar with the case knows that O.J. was acquitted of murdering his ex-wife and a waiter who was over at her house. Hello from Romania. Oh, well, welcome in. Kind of sleepy, that is fair enough. Well, I appreciate you tuning in all the way from Romania. That's awesome. Wow. I don't think I've had any Romanian viewers before. That's really cool. That's really cool. Well, hello from Canada. It's a little bit earlier in the day here, but I am also sleepy. So, I feel you there. So yes, the O.J. Simpson trial, he was on trial for the murder of his ex-wife and a waiter who was at her house. And he was found not guilty, he was acquitted. And that sparked a whole lot of racial tensions throughout, not just in LA, but throughout America. You know, it's been talked about over and over and over again. It's been spoofed on TV. You know, you have the boring answer. Hey, you know, I don't think it's boring. Okay, so the thing about OJ is that throughout the entirety of OJ's career, OJ really was not into the black experience. He is black, right? But he didn't join in any like civil rights movements because he was about branding. OJ was about OJ. He was and there's not even anything really wrong with that per se, but it just, suffice it to say, OJ, one of his most famous quotes was, "I'm not black, I'm OJ." Which, you hear this term colorblindness when it comes to race relations, right? Where like you don't acknowledge someone's color, you acknowledge their character, right? And there's a lot of merit to that, but can also be problematic. And here's where it gets problematic with OJ. See, OJ didn't really want anything to do with the black community and the fights and struggles for most of his career, up until 1994. There's a very famous story in that OJ Made in America case, where OJ was out with a bunch of people, you know, and he was at a table with a bunch of black teammates, and there was a woman who was sitting over there, and this journalist who was with OJ like heard her say this, right? And she says, "Now what's OJ doing at that table over there with all those N-words?" Right? So this journalist tells OJ about it, and OJ's like, "That's fantastic. You see, because she didn't see me as black. She saw me as OJ." Right? So, OJ really had a lot to grapple with in terms of like his relations to the black community until 1994. Until he saw the reaction in 1992 that the community had with the killing of Rodney, or not the killing, but with the police brutality against Rodney King, right? That happened 2 years prior, so that kind of sets the stage for the tensions that were in the area. All of a sudden, OJ goes on trial, and now he cares about race. Now he's trying to surround himself with black people, right? Now he's going out to chicken and waffle places, you know, and speaking at black seminars and going to black churches to redeem his image after the trial. Now he needs the black community, right? So Kendrick raps the line, "I said I'd do this for the culture." The culture referring to black culture, right? He raps, "I said I'd do this for the culture," right when his face turns into O.J. Simpson's, right? Which I think is just a fantastic critique on O.J. and how opportunist he was. Once he realized, like, you know what, I'm going to need to lean on my people now because the rest of America kind of hates me for getting away with this crime, you know? Or not getting away with it, because I mean, like, by law, OJ was acquitted of that crime, and it's like, okay. I mean, personally, I think OJ did it. OJ did that shit. But that's beside the point. I think it's just a fantastic juxtaposition and a pretty heavy critique on black people who are very opportunistic and say, like, oh, I do this for the culture, you know? And just putting it out there, you know, because they're doing it, they're not being authentic to themselves, they're doing it just for clout, right? I'm so glad you're telling me what face was what humid. I'm trying to guess. Hey, no problem, no problem. So that was a great intro. And it's funny that there's already like debates and stuff, and the thing's been out for one day. The next face that shows up is Kanye's. And everyone knows, well, again, not everyone knows, but for those of you who don't know, Kanye was diagnosed as bipolar in 2016. He made it very public. And he has routinely gone off of his medication, off of his bipolar medication. which has, in a lot of respects, just kind of wreaked havoc on his career from time to time. So the next face he turns into is Kanye, and it's on the phrasing of bipolar, because he says in one of the lines he says bipolar, right? I didn't recognize him, but I figured out who he was from the lyrics. I don't know much about that dude. Which one? Kanye or OJ? Or both? I've seen some people online kind of come at Kendrick for dissing Kanye's bipolar diagnosis, but I don't think he was... Oh, Kanye, you lived through... Oh, that's right, you lived through the OJ stuff. Kanye, so... Long story short, Kanye is kind of egotistical. He started out as a producer and then got into rapping. Is fantastic. A lot of people argue that he makes his best music when he's in his manic stages of his bipolar disorder. But that also isn't great for him just as a person, right? In terms of like his mental health. And I mean, we've all heard stories of people who, you know, are on certain medications that kind of like help balance out whatever mental health crisis they're going through. But it can also like leave you kind of like, you know, it can also mess with them in certain ways. And so Kanye is one of those people where he feels like he's less creative and all that kind of stuff when he's on medication. So he sometimes stops taking it. Yeah, Yeezy. Yeah. Kanye using his mental illness as a weapon against everyone, so I actively ignore and avoid him. Yeah. So I don't think that Kendrick was using that line as an attack on him being bipolar. Because, I mean, like, you know, that can happen to anyone, right? If you listen to the rest of the line, he's actually critiquing people around. Hey, Redria, welcome in. Welcome in. How are you? I'm doing well. How are you? We're just talking a little bit about Kendrick Lamar's new track, The Heart Part 5. I love old Kanye, to be honest. Hey, I am one of those people where I thankfully can, in a lot of instances, separate art from artist. Kanye West, the artist, I mean, he's brilliant. He's brilliant. I certainly don't condone a lot of the stuff he's done in his personal life. But with his music, I can, like, he's a fantastic musician, fantastic artist. Which, you know, I do not condone a lot of the things he's done in his life, but I can appreciate his musical craft. So if you listen to the rest of that line, Kendrick's actually talking about how it's actually a critique on opportunistic people around you when you get famous, when you have something coming in for yourself, when you start making a name for yourself. There's people around you who are opportunists and will just kind of take from you, you know? And in the case of, like, you know, Kanye, like, there's a lot of people who will turn a blind eye to the mental health issues because he's still making that money, right? Hey, Chitanda, you doing all right today? Oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Welcome in. So that's what that line's speaking to. And then, the third face that Kendrick turns into is Jussie Smollett. Now, those of you who don't know, Jussie Smollett is an actor who was in the show Empire. Jussie Smollett made waves years ago when Empire was still like big by being one of the only openly gay black actors that there are. Because in the black community, a lot of times it's hard to come out as openly gay, right? And a few years ago, I see you straight cheesing. Yes, I am. I am because of this Kendrick track. So Jussie Smollett, a couple of years ago, claimed that he was the victim of a hate crime, right? Claimed he was a victim of a hate crime. and claimed that two white people with a MAGA hat, wearing MAGA hats, came at him outside a Subway at like 2 a.m. or so with a noose and said, you know, we're going to kill you, you F-word, N-word, right? F-word being the derogatory term for homosexuals. And then it turns out that Jussie Smollett actually staged that entire hate crime, and it was two black people that actually perpetrated this crime against him. Yes, people like me. So, Kendrick actually says the line, and throughout the song, like he's just talking about black culture in general, right? But he uses these lines to like just kind of highlight these different faces that he's turning into. So I didn't go in. I'm just gonna go back to the Kanye one real quick, because the line is, "Friends bipolar, grab you by your pockets, no option if you froze up, always play the offense," right? And that's a pretty clear critique on people who are opportunists and just want you for your clout, just want you because, you know, you're famous for now, you know, so we're just going to take what we want and then just leave you. When he turns into Jussie Smollett, the first line that comes in, let's see if I can find it. Where is it? Bear with me. Yeah, the first line that he says with Jussie Smollett is, "The streets got me fucked up," which again is pretty, It's pretty funny. Because, yeah, the streets did that to Jussie Smollett. Because it's like, nah, bro, like, you can't be out here faking hate crimes for the same reason that, you know, you shouldn't falsely claim that anyone did something to you. Because it just makes it harder for real victims to come forward and speak up, you know? Because people are just going to automatically think, oh, you're lying, right? And he talks about how Jussie was like, I want to represent for us. You know, New Revolution was up and moving. You know, water in between us. Another peer has been executed. History repeats again. Make amends. And then find an N-word with the same skin to do it. Right? Which is a very, very clear indictment against what Jussie did. You know? It's like, you know, history repeats itself because, yeah, hate crimes happen to minorities all the time. But then in this case, Jussie organized it himself, you know? Oh, I remember Charles Barkley talking about this guy. Yes! Yeah! Oh! Corobango. I'm gonna segue real quick. Because Corobango, thank you for bringing that up. Charles Barkley, who's a former NBA player, Hall of Famer, now is on NBA on TNT and is an analyst talking about the games. So they were doing an episode of this where they were making predictions for the NBA playoffs. And the host of the show, Ernie Johnson, asked Charles Barkley what his, what do you think is the most outlandish thing that would never come true in the playoffs or whatever? And Charles Barkley goes, two black people beating a black guy up, which was because the Jussie Smollett stuff, all the fallout had just happened. And then he was like, America, America. Because this is part of the way that these guys got caught. It's like, America, if you're going to commit a crime, don't commit crimes with checks. Use cash. Because, yeah, they were using checks, you know, which are eminently more traceable than cash is, right? So it was a very funny segment. So Corobango, thank you for bringing that up. that made my day. So the next face that Kendrick turns into is Will Smith. And Will Smith, obviously an actor. If you haven't caught up with entertainment news, most recently Will Smith is famous for jumping on stage during one of Chris Rock's monologues, in which he kind of made fun of Will Smith's wife, Will Smith's wife, and Will Smith got up on stage and basically slapped Chris Rock on national television, and then said afterwards, keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth, right? You know. Now, whether or not you agree with the joke that Chris Rock made, which I think for comedians is pretty tame, I think we all can agree in this day and age, like, you probably shouldn't assault someone over a joke in the name of your wife's honor. Especially since Will Smith was laughing at the joke until his wife didn't find it funny. Now, the joke was at his wife's expense, to a certain extent. Chris Rock made an allusion to her being in G.I. Jane 2 or something like that. G.I. Jane was a 1990s movie with Demi Moore in which she shaved her head because, you know, she's in the military. And she shaves it to a buzz cut. And Jada Pinkett Smith has been very open with the fact that she suffers from alopecia. So she doesn't have it, she's bald, basically, right? So whether or not you agree with the merits of the joke, Will Smith probably shouldn't have done that. And he was apologetic after. But the line in which he turns into Will Smith, Kendrick says, in the land where hurt people hurt more people, fuck calling it culture, right? Which I think is an indictment on a lot of people being on Will Smith's side. And it's like, no, you don't assault people like that. Like, that's not cool anymore, right? And the hurt people, that's a phrase that's been around forever. And I think that alludes to Will Smith, because the relationship that he has with Jada Pinkett has been very tumultuous over the years. Obviously, we're not in the relationship, so we're seeing it from a distance. But it seems to be quite... It's not... It doesn't... From afar, it seems like it's not a great situation. And we can't, like, draw any real conclusions from it. It's just, you know... From the outside, it doesn't look like it's the greatest relationship. And I think that line alludes to that, you know, hurt people, which in some respects is true, you know. A lot of people who have been hurt, emotionally, physically, will go out and do the same, you know. Not all the time, but that is a thing that can happen. And that line is kind of an allusion to that, I believe. The next face, which is the... Oh, Magical Valkyrie. Sorry. I'm reading lyrics and paintings, so I'm kind of missing chat here. Yes, Magical Valkyrie. Welcome in. The only thing I learned from that shit is that the Smiths are in a cult. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's truly Scientology that they're into, but yeah, it's some kind of like weird... It's not great. But yeah, welcome in, Magical Valkyrie. How are you? He once slapped man. I grew up watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I feel bad for Will Smith. I feel bad for the situation that he's in his personal life. I believe that he deserves the consequences from, you know, committing assault on national television. But I also do have some sympathy for him because, you know, I'm human. They are BioReport Scientologists, yeah. Now that line, this is a story all about how my life got turned upside down. Makes sense for what, yeah. Unfortunately, it's taken a different context. The next face that Kendrick turns into is Kobe Bryant. And I believe this is the briefest switch out of all 6 of them, right? So I believe the line that he turns into Kobe, he starts talking about how he wasn't perfect. The skin I had The skin I was in truly suffered, temptation and patience, everything the body nurtures. I felt the good, felt the bad, felt the worry, but all in all, my productivity stayed urging, right? Which, throughout his basketball career, Kobe Bryant faced a lot of challenges, both on and off the court. He was very famously embroiled in a rape case, which he did eventually admit to the fact that it's very muddy in some respects, but he basically admitted that the woman in question changed her mind about consent at some point, and he didn't listen or what have you. And it's kind of it's kind of a touchy thing, because he obviously was an amazing basketball player, right? But it's like, no, he committed a crime and then he got away with it, right? And Kendrick is not afraid to like come at people within the culture. Obviously, we've seen in this thing, right? So he turns into Kobe to represent a troubled figure, who lost his life, because the very next person he talks about is Nipsey Hussle, who was a former rapper who also lost his life. I believe he was shot, because that's the next person that he turns into. And let me just give you all a little rundown on Nipsey Hussle. So if you'll excuse me. So Nipsey Hussle was born in Crenshaw, Los Angeles. Grew up basically in South Los Angeles with his brother Sam and his sister Samantha. He spoke a lot about giving back to your community with his rapping and the things that he was able to do with his life. He was very active in all sorts of community activism. Like he wanted to give solutions and inspiration to young black men like him. He denounced gun violence in his music, and in his influence in community work. Like he did a lot against gun violence. Talked a lot about his experiences with gang culture. He funded a lot of like things in his neighborhood growing up to help improve the lives of the people there. So Nipsey Hussle, by and large, was a force of good in a neighborhood, in an area of the country where it's harder to find forces of good. Because, gang culture is that of like, well, if you don't want to get got, you join this cult. It's like a cult, actually. If you don't want to get got, you join this gang, right? It's obviously more nuanced than that. But in general, it's like very few people, at least initially, like want to be in a gang, right? But if you want protection, if you want to fit in, right? It's very, very messy. But he spoke out against all that. He was a force of good. And then in 2019, he was shot at least 10 times outside of his store, because he owned a clothing store. And there were a lot of memorials, a lot of rappers, and a lot of industry people were mourning the death of Nipsey Hussle, because he really was a good person. And in this song, basically the latter 2/3 of the Heart Part 5, Kendrick morphs his face into Nipsey Hussle's and starts rapping in his cadence, starts rapping with his flow, basically starts rapping like in the same style that Nipsey Hussle would, and is basically talking about being empowered, and like he fulfilled his mission even though his life was cut short, and that he wants that mission to continue, and is very uplifting, very sad, but also very uplifting, and I think it was just a wonderful tribute to end the song on, right? So yeah, those were the 6 faces. Those are my breakdowns of what I think they meant, because they were all tied into the lyrics in a certain way. So Yeah. Let's see, what did I miss in the chat? Off topic, but I finally finished my art of Futaru and Miku. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Congratulations, Chitanda. How'd it turn out? You're onto a much bigger art project. Very nice, very nice. What's this project, if you don't mind saying? Tyson had a very similar case, if I'm not wrong. Yes, yes. Mike Tyson did have a very similar case to Kobe's. Yeah. You only heard about this person after he died. Nipsey Hussle? Yeah, yeah. I have to wonder how shocking this was for people who knew him. Oh, it turned out really good? Good, good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I imagine that it was probably shocking, but the thing is, like, Nipsey and Kendrick knew each other, because Kendrick's from Compton, California, and Nipsey's from Los Angeles, right? So they knew of each other, and they had worked together, I think, on some projects. And so I think the people who were close to Nipsey Hussle, especially because Kendrick's being uplifting with his lyrics, and he's rapping the same way and in the same style, and talking about the same subject matter that Nipsey Hussle would, and kind of embodying Nipsey Hussle, because he talks about like some of the lines in here are like, to my brother, to my kids, I'm in heaven. To my mother, to my sis, I'm in heaven. To my father, to my wife, I'm serious, this is heaven. To my friends, make sure you're counting them blessings. And to the killer that sped up my demise, I forgive you, just know your soul's in question. And though you did me gruesome, I was surely relieved. I completed my mission, wasn't ready to leave, but I fulfilled my days, my creator was pleased. I can't stress how I love y'all. I don't need to be in flesh just to hug y'all. The memories recollect just because y'all celebrate me with respect, right? And it's all about unity and how, like, you know, how much he loved his community and he loved his family. So I think a lot of the people who knew Nipsey Hussle took that verse as pure respect, pure, like just a pure tribute. You know, it probably was a little bit shocking because I know some people were like, it's weird seeing these people who have passed away, like Kobe and Nipsey, like speaking again. Like it's a deep fake, so it's not really them, but you know. It's an anime crossover movie poster. Ooh, very, very cool. Very cool. Oh. I've offered it before, Chitanda, but if at any point you do feel comfortable enough sharing your work with us, by all means, feel free to. And if you don't, that is perfectly fine too. You're under no obligation to. I'm just happy that you're really, really enjoying the work that you're doing. Because honestly, that's half the battle when it comes to artwork and any sort of creative project, is liking what it is that you're doing. That's half the battle. So I'm very glad for you. Digital ghosts in the wall. Yeah. Yeah. That final verse by Kendrick actually reminded me a lot of his verse. A lot of the same vibes of his verses in the song Sing About Me, I'm Dying of Thirst. In which, you know, I've said before, like, I relate heavy to that song because, like, my one thing, like, the chorus of that song, the first part of it, the Sing About Me, is when the lights shut off and it's my turn to settle down, my main concern, promise that you will sing about me, right? Which is about, like, you know, talking about a person and reliving and having memories after they're gone, right? And I think about that, and I hope that people, you know, will still sing about me after I'm gone, whenever that day may be, right? So that verse with Nipsey Hussle really kind of had that same vibe to it, you know. So I felt it was really powerful. And let me just say too, like the backing track, if the backing track is any indication on what is going to be on this album, because the backing track is a sample of I Want You by Marvin Gaye, right? And that is an amazing song, and anybody who follows this channel knows that old school R&B and funk and soul is my favorite type of music. So if we're getting anything like that on this album, I am very, very excited for it. Like I said, it's not posted online just to make it for fun. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I just meant like if you have a picture of it and you wanted to just like put the picture in. But no, I totally understand that. That is fair enough. And I'm glad that you do it for fun. And that you have fun with it. So I'll just say this from now on. Like if you're talking about art, the offer stands for as long as you're here. You know, the offer stands. Like feel free to share it at any time, and that'll be it's a standing offer. I'm so glad it's illegal to own a gun in my country. It's not illegal in my country, but it is fairly hard to get... Well, it's harder to get your hands on a gun here than it is in some areas of the States, for instance. But, yeah, so that's me. That's me cheesing about the Heart Part 5. I'm so excited. I watched that video 3 times at work today. I haven't... The last time I watched a music video that just dropped at work was my previous job when I watched Childish Gambino's This Is America. Which that was a completely different reaction. That was a very sobering video. This one had its sobering moments, but I also like that whole thing with Will Smith in there when he talks about like in a land where hurt people hurt more people, fuck calling it culture. I appreciate that because like we need to break through that shit. We need to get past that, you know? We need to elevate. I live in Texas. We hand them out like candy. Easier to get a gun than a job. That is fair. So, talking about the painting real quick, I know it seems once again that I'm just going over stuff over and over again, but I really wanted to even out the tone on this wall. Because it wasn't very even before. Now it's a little bit more even. I could probably do another layer on it, but I'm going to wait for it to complete, well, this is dry, but I'm going to wait for the whole thing to dry before I touch it again. Our next step is going to be working on the floor here. But yeah, that's my little commentary on the Heart Part 4. I hope y'all didn't find it too boring. But I can talk about like music stuff all day long. Like I've said before, music is my favorite artistic medium. So, you know. But yeah, I was gonna say this too. Elle on Twitter made a very good point because Elle has face blindness, so he couldn't tell whose faces were turning into what. I think you described it as it was like a kaleidoscope. It looked like his face was in a kaleidoscope because his hair stays the same throughout the whole video. So. Which I thought was a very interesting take, because I hadn't even considered, you know, how someone with face blindness might react to the video, you know. So it was cool to hear that perspective as well. I remember along those same lines. This one was more of a detrimental thing on a larger scale. But the years ago, the National Football League did these color rush uniforms, where it'd be a separate uniform where I think it was Thursday nights. The two teams would wear uniforms that were very, very colorful. Like it was all monochromatic, like one color, with like highlights and all that matched the team colors, but they were very in-your-face type of jerseys, right? So the New York Jets were playing the Buffalo Bills. Now the New York Jets, their team color is green and white, right? So their jerseys, head to toe, were green with white accents, right? The Buffalo Bills are red, white, and blue, so their uniforms were red with white and some blue highlights, right? But people who were specifically like red, green colorblind couldn't tell who was who when watching on TV, because it's like they both looked the same, and someone like decolorized it to the kind of pigments that someone would see when they've got red, blue colorblindness, and it was like it was like one team playing itself, right? Which would have been very disorienting. So when am I starting my music deep dive YouTube channel? Oh man, maybe one day. Maybe one day. I know I can't do a podcast because there's already a great podcast about that called Dissect. It also reminded me when MJ turned into a panther. Oh yeah, Michael Jackson did do that, didn't he? Yeah, in Black or White, when all the faces were morphing and then he morphed into a panther. Hey, Jake, what's going on? I know who it is. So it's a man by the name of Debrickashaw Ferguson. How are you, Jake? Welcome in. Actually, you know what? Excuse me. Debrickashaw Montgomery Ferguson. All these dudes are in brown. WTF. Exactly. Debrickashaw Montgomery Ferguson. I can't even come up with a clever joke for Jake's comment. But yeah, Jake, we were just doing a deep dive on Kendrick Lamar's new teaser track for his album that's dropping on the 13th. Or is it the 12th? I think it's the 13th. Well, excuse me, princess. I know that reference. Needless to say, your boy is very excited for this album. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Because if this album is good, if it's just good, I will be extremely happy. Because the thing about Kendrick Lamar is, in terms of albums, like forget the like his albums. Section 80. Section 80 was good. Section 80 was great. There are some songs on there that I don't particularly care for, but Section 80 was great. Good Kid, Mad City is a masterpiece. To Pimp a Butterfly is a masterpiece. To Pimp a Butterfly might be my third favorite album of all time, across all genres. Number one is Inner Visions by Stevie Wonder. Number two is Commodores by the Commodores. Number 3 is probably or probably To Pimp a Butterfly. That album is just a masterpiece. Kendrick Lamar released an album B-sides. Not even B-sides. Songs that didn't even make the cut on To Pimp a Butterfly. And that album was better than some of the actual rap albums that was released that year. Damn is damn near a masterpiece. So if Kendrick even just comes close to being good on this album, because we haven't had an album from him in 5 years, I will be ecstatic. If the album's decent, I will be ecstatic. You know, because he's already proven himself with his track record. So like, it's just, oh man. Just a quick pop in for me, bedtime over here. Yeah, sorry, Jake. I missed you leaving because I was standing Kendrick for too much. Have a good night, man. I appreciate you. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Appreciate the lurk, man. I hope you have a good night. You'll watch that when you wake up. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Anyway, yeah, I'm very excited. Anyway, how are you all? What do you all want to talk about? Because I've just been kind of going on and on. Now, you might be saying, like, why am I painting this so dark when there's obviously going to be light coming out of here? I'm painting a base layer here. And then I'll paint the light on top of it. But I just want to, you know. I want to put this base in to kind of color the light when we paint the light over top of it. It's sort of similar to doing an underpainting, because it kind of tints everything. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Del. And yeah, no problem, no problem. And hey, I don't. It's not a dumb brain. You just don't recognize things. Fun fact, along those same lines, right? It's just people's brains work differently. My sister is a musician. You should check her out on Spotify. Jasmine, Jazmynn. You check out her stuff. She's very good. I'm biased, but she's very good. But my sister is a musician. And when we were younger, like, she would paint and draw things. My dad is also a singer, plays percussion instruments, and has dabbled in writing and songwriting. And like right now he's trying to write a book, actually. The funny thing about them is they're very creative people. They're very creative people, but they have aphasia. They can't actually picture something in their minds and see it in picture form, right? Like I can visualize all sorts of stuff with my mind, but my sister and my dad can't. They're not able to do that. They can't paint a picture with their minds, you know? So I find the different ways that people's minds work very, very interesting. So, yeah, I don't find it dumb at all. But thank you all for listening to my thoughts and my excitement. I am less able to after the brain damage. It's annoying. Yeah, that is fair. I could see that definitely being annoying. And I'm sorry that's gotten harder for you. Yo, Angel, welcome in. Welcome in. How are you, Angel? And yes, new painting. New painting. That we're making very slow progress on because it's a very big painting. It's 48 inches by 42. Also, my apologies, Angel, if I took a late day half nap, so feeling weird. Ah, fair, fair. Yeah, sometimes those half naps can be a little disorienting, especially if they're late in the day. I feel that. But I'm good. I'm good. Hey, no problem, Chitanda. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Appreciate you being here. And congratulations again on getting your piece done. Yeah, that's awesome. I was answering work texts in between dozing off. Oof. Yeah, I've been there too. Not with my current job, but I've definitely been there when I worked retail. And these fools would be asking me questions when I'm like not even there. It's like, it's my day off. Leave me alone. When I was at Sport Check, I worked in shoes, and then I got moved to, well, I didn't get moved to the back. They offered it to me because I was working in shoes, and they were offering a full-time position as the footwear manager, and I wanted it, but the upper management decided to give it to someone else, just because they knew him. But my manager didn't want me to lose any hours, because that decision was above him, right? Like he didn't have any say in that. But so my manager was like, "Hey, I don't want you to lose any hours. Do you want to work shipping and receiving in the back?" And I was overjoyed to do that because I didn't have to deal with customers out on the floor anymore. And like honestly, like the majority of customers that I had were perfectly fine. They were perfectly fine. There weren't any real horror stories, but also, like, I didn't have to, like, be on all the time, I guess, right? Out on the floor. When I was in the back, I could just handle, like, making things organized, putting stuff away. But on my days off, sometimes I would get people, like, asking me, like, because I organized the back, right? They'd be asking me, like, "Hey, man, where are these shoes?" And it's like, I'm at work. You're at work, man. I'm at home. Like, go find the shoes. Like, you're actually there. Also, they're in rack 14 on the bottom right. Like, that's where they are. You know? Canada must be so nice. I had shit thrown at my head more than once. Well, I mean, I will say that my retail experience, I was lucky. I was lucky. Because that stuff definitely does happen here. But I didn't have to encounter, and none of us really encountered any of that at our store. You know, so we were lucky in that way. You know, but it definitely does happen. Angel, if you were coming in to hear me ramble about Kendrick Lamar's The Heart Part 5 and how stoked I am for this album that's coming up, and kind of going through the different lyrics and how they tied to the deepfakes that Kendrick did in the video, I apologize, because we just wrapped that up. But if you didn't come here specifically for that, then you're in luck, because we still got a good 15 minutes left of painting. But I hope that nap that you took doesn't throw off the rest of your day, because I know that sometimes can happen. I came into you talking about people's visualization abilities. Yeah. I was going to go out and do gig work, but decided to rest as I did it all week. Oh, well, that's good. That's good. Now, gig work, what do you mean by that? If you don't mind me asking. Oh, Instacart, grocery shopping for people. I see. Nice. Oh, somebody just texted me. I have to bear with me, everybody. I'm gonna put up my be right back stream real quick because I gotta check on my phone. I think my girlfriend might have just texted me that she's on her way back. In which case we may have to end stream a little bit early because I need to go help her get the boat out of the water. But I will be right back, everyone. Hold tight. My apologies, L. Didn't mean to poke you in the eye. I was wondering if he was going to poke at the screen with us watching. Yeah, no, if I do that, the camera will stop and everything will freeze and you won't be able to hear me. So, or the music, it'll just completely freeze. So that was my girlfriend. She is heading back to shore now, but we've got about 5 minutes before she's in. So I'll just finish this line and then we'll raid somebody. And yeah, so the Monday streams are going to be during Dragon Boat season. They're going to be a little bit janky. I may start like anywhere in between 5:55 and like 6:15, depending on how long it takes her to get the boat in the water, because I help her do that, and then helping her take the boat out of the water, because the boat's too heavy for her to do herself. On Monday she goes in her it's called an OC, an outrigger canoe, which kind of it's the same kind of paddling that you do with the dragon boat. Just everyone's in these small little boats. So she's out in her outrigger canoe, and the outrigger canoe is too heavy for her to take out of the water herself. So I help her out. So yeah, I'll finish this line, and then we'll find somebody to raid, and then I'll be gone from the raid channel, like wherever we raid. I'll be gone for about 15 minutes or so, maybe 20 minutes, and then I'll pop back in. But so that looks pretty good so far. All right, let me cover this up. So yeah, while I have an hour and a half slotted for the Monday streams, they may end up being closer to an hour and 15 minutes. So I apologize for that, but I'd like to make sure that my girlfriend's safe. Okay, so let's find somebody to raid. And while I'm doing that, thank you everybody for coming in and listening to me talk about Kendrick a little bit and some of the symbolism and all of that, and for watching me paint. Thank you, Zell, for the resubscription. Really do appreciate you. And Korobango, thank you for the follow and for coming in and chatting for a bit, all the way from Romania, which is really, really cool. It's really cool. It's nice to meet you. Let's see. I will say that y'all are lucky that I don't stream on Fridays, because Friday is when this new album is dropping, and I would probably just be all over that. That's all I would talk about, is like just the entire stream would just be me talking about Kendrick Lamar. Okay, let's see who's on here. How about this person? Because they're just starting. Well, they've got a cat, so that's interesting. People like cats. Um, let's see. Um, did any of you tomorrow you'll have music off so you can watch Eurovision. Nice, nice, nice. And thanks for coming in, Elle. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful night as well. Does anybody have any art friends in the chat that are live right now? If not, I think we'll go with this person. They just haven't quite started yet. But if anybody has anybody who's like live right now, feel free to shout them out. Feel free to shout them out. And we'll go give them a look. And it can be digital or traditional art. I'm not picky. Just none of my art friends are on right now. Not at the moment? Okay, that's okay. Let me see. Well, just looking at their other videos, I kind of like the vibe of this person. So I think we'll go check out Dembelina, which is a fantastic username, I must say. Okay, so with that, thank you all for coming in. I really do appreciate you. Our next art stream is going to be on Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Our next stream, though, is going to be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be playing some more Super Mario RPG. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully you can join us tomorrow, and if not, I hope you have a wonderful rest. My girlfriend's calling me, so I will see you all later, and we're gonna go raid Thumbelina. So have a good night, everybody.